group return for the first time in 2022 for the Thursday night racing series, and we have Group C tonight and a grid of 7 cars, a mix of Nissans and Mercedes, and I'll try and work out what the rest are as we go through. It might just be Nissans and Mercedes. There's Jaguars as well. So Coops was fastest in practice, and Coops lines up on pole position with Oz alongside. Dugamus is 3rd place on the grid. Andy 4th. I can't tell you what cars are in because I can't bloody see. Dubs is in 5th. I think he said he's in a Jaguar. I think he's in the purple and white one. And we got on the Martin in 6th, and Mark will be on his own on the final row of the grid. They're just loading up their setups ready to begin, and we're around this hot and fairly long circuit here at the Algarve. Racing shouldn't be too rusty. Some of these guys have already been racing on Monday in the first Monday TNR Championships, and I think it's been Martin that has won. I think he might have even won all 3 races in one of the series on Monday, so we'll see how Martin does from 6th on the grid. But Coops is quite a fan of these cars, so he should go well off of pole. And light should be coming on any moment now. Here we are. Go on board with last place Mark just to get a view off the grid. See who gets away best. Mark very quick off the back, but it gets it sideways and he's all over the show. But he gathers it back in very quickly, and we now look towards the front of the grid, and it is the Mercedes of Oz Phillips who takes the lead into turn 1. Coops right on his tail though. Coops doing it so well. There's one of the cars off in the background, that's Martin, who's done so well recently. Oh, there's contact between the top 2, but Coops barges his way through. There's a bit of a tank slap off Coops' car, which sends Oz Phillips into the gravel. Unfortunately, it didn't look intentional, but wasn't good, needless to say. We got Andy up to 2nd with his lights on, having a really good run. I can't tell you what car it is at the moment. I think it's Nissan's in the top 3 at the moment. Dubs is in his Jaguar in 4th position. It's the battle for 2nd that's really hotting up. Lights on Andy's car, as is his traditional way. And we've got Mark putting him under some severe pressure in the 3rd of those Nissans, but it is 1-2-3 for Nissan at the moment. This is definitely the closest battle of the lot on grid. Andy goes a little bit deep, Mark gets a better line, but it's not an opportunity just yet. He may have a look as they head into the sharp left-hander. He does have a look, but there's not contact. Great drive from Mark there, and they give each other space. But now, Coops streaking off into the lead. He had the pole position, but lost it from a late dive, it looked like, from Oz into turn 1. A very good move, but then barged his way back through, and unfortunately Oz the big loser in that. As they come up over the start-finish line for the first time, we've almost forgotten about Coops in the lead, because this battle is really on. Just a couple of seconds back, it is raging, and Mark is looking left, he's looking right, decides to stick with the racing line, doesn't go for a move on this occasion, but he's right on the bump there, bumper to bumper. These cars so powerful, so fast, and I shouldn't jinx it because it's very unstable. Great driving between Mark and Andy. Highly respectful. Mark gets a good run though as they come up over the hill and down towards the hairpin. Can he get the car stopped on the inside? Not easy to do, but Andy seems to have run a little bit wide on it. Oh, but he does. He gets a little cutback. They're close again, but I think Mark has taken the position for now. Good stuff from Mark there. Lovely bit of driving, and he brings himself up to 2nd. Can he chase down Coops? But that will. I don't know. Coops is looking ominously quick at the moment. A little further back, Dubs 4 seconds drift now in that fantastic looking Jaguar with the side skirts over the rear wheels, and what a great livery in the purple and white. I had a Matchbox one of those years ago, great looking little car. And Oz is the first of the Mercs. Obviously got barged off into the gravel, so this is just whatever he can take from this race. I think he's not likely to finish very high up, unfortunately. but it does seem the Mercs are struggling actually, because Dugamus is running just behind him in 6th. Martin unable to recover. Martin into the pit lane, curiously, despite damage being off. I can only assume it's low on fuel, misfueled the car or something. He seems to be going in for different tyres. Is he switching to a set of softs? Perhaps he was on hards, I don't know. Don't quite know what's going on there. He's retired the car. Martin is out. There are just 6 cars remaining then, and Coops is maintaining the lead. I would say that Mark is bringing it down slightly, but it's just ebbing and flowing around 3 seconds really. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on where on the lap they are. Andy, a comfortable 3rd at the moment, doing a really good job actually on the pad. These cars must be an absolute handful. But I think Andy quite likes driving these, so great stuff there. Dubs not near enough to challenge to knock one of those Nissans off the podium, which is a shame, but he's having a good race nonetheless. I think Dubs is roughly where he started. It does sound amazing, that Jaguar, doesn't it? Out the back end. We'll go on board actually with Dubs as we head up towards the end of the lap, and he's overstepped it. He must have the stream playing in the background and I've jinxed him, but he gathers it back together, and here we come into the penultimate turn. Only the final almost flat out turn, or even flat out depending on which car. Probably is flat out in these. Is there a lift? There's a little lift, and he comes up over towards the start finish line. Start finish line's actually quite a way down. Just listen to that thing scream along. But guys, close on track. Got Oz and Dugamus, the 2 Mercs. They sound good as well. Much more throaty though. Completely different sound to the Jag. And they are battling over last place with Dugamus catching on Oz. Oz has gone deep. Is it going to give Dugamus a chance to catch a little bit? Can't see where Dugamus is. No, he's not really managed to capitalise. He's perhaps a little bit closer than he was. And Andy and Coops has made a mistake. We've missed that. Coops must have had a spin or something. He's dropped back to 2nd. Mark capitalises, takes the lead. Well, we saw how good Mark was earlier on in the race. As long as Mark doesn't drop it, he's an almost dead cert, I think, for this win. But that's what I said about Coops earlier. And in the background, Andy goes way, way, way wide. Is this the tyres going off a bit, perhaps? Perhaps Mark's going to have to be careful to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake, but he's got a similar gap to what Coops had to him earlier. And Andy has thankfully managed to bring the car back on track. He's still running 3rd. Dubs is Dubs is still 4th. I was thinking that was Dugamus. It's Dubs in 4th, and Oz and Dugamus still scrap over the final points paying positions, the final positions full stop. And all of these cars quite interesting. I would say, if anything, the dominant Nissan's probably the least interesting of the lot, but they've all got their own little quirks, and they definitely look very sort of 1980s, 1990s. I think these are early 90s cars actually. But liveries are interesting. I think Oz is one for me, perhaps not my favourite livery. Quite like Dugamus's Mercedes, the black and gold there. Sort of reminiscent of a Lotus Formula 1 car in a way. But for me, it's got to be Dubs Jaguar. What a cool looking vehicle that is. We'll do as we head through this 5th of 5 and 7 laps here. We'll just go on board with race leader Mark, and we'll see what kind of speeds he's hitting as we go up and over the start finish line. So we've got a couple of corners to go. Mark not going as deep as Dubs when we were on board with Dubs, but still looking like he's struggling a little bit with the car. These are extremely difficult to drive, and this is the first race of the series. He goes through the final turn. I don't think there's any lifting there, so there's a difference between him and Dubs. We were on board with Dubs in the Jaguar and we did have lifting, but we're 190 almost. As we get to the end of the straight, he does 189, he's on the brakes. Coops behind, much slower. Must have had a mistake coming out the final turn. Andy, almost identical, 189. Stubbs in the Jaguar, screaming 189 as well, so very even in a straight line. Oz, the first Mercedes, 205 miles per hour. That is a phenomenal difference. So it looks like the Mercedes is an absolute stonker in a straight line compared to the rest, but the Nissan and the Jaguar extremely well matched. I can only assume probably on the flip side Oz and Douglas are having more trouble on the handling side of things, which may explain why they are struggling to match the other guys, because this circuit, well, it's got a very long straight, there is a lot of tight twisty corners, medium speed corners, and even a couple of high speed corners, so there's everything you need a very good chassis for, and perhaps that is the difference here. Mark and Coops getting close again on track, 1.6 seconds between them. Things are hotting up with a lap and a half to go. Could we be on for battle for this win? I say a lap and a half, we're actually coming up to the line now, so there is only a lap to go. It's now 2.5 seconds, perhaps it's just the concertina effect and the ebbing and flowing. Now we're just going to go on board with Oz again, because that just seemed bonkers, the speed that this man was pulling down the straight. I just want to check that wasn't an anomaly as we come out and we're going through the final turn. And he's doing 160, 170, 180, 190. I don't think it's an anomaly. When you look behind, same with Douglas' car, well over 200 mile an hour for both of them. They're classing the field in straight line speed, but unfortunately the back of the field in this particular race, although as we know Oz was not helped by a big bit of nerfing on that first lap. Coops is not able to get close to Mark, so it's going to need a big mistake from Mark. The changes are actually in a similar livery, aren't they? Number 84, number 83, so teammate liveries, but they're both fighting for these wins. And it is Mark who's going to take, he says, not trying to speak too soon, the first race victory of the Group C series. Is a cracking win. We saw him battle through the field. He had a great race with Andy. Andy did really well. Clean racing between the two of them. Well done, Mark. He comes up over the line. Mark has had a bit of a sabbatical from racing, but he's straight back in there. And a great job from Coops as well. Unfortunately, just dropping the ball. He would have had that win. Andy coming up to the line for a fantastic podium position. Really earned that. I thought he did a great drive. He's on pad, don't forget, and raced very well and cleanly. My favourite car of the lot comes across in 4th place. Stubbs having an okay run, lap time wise though quite a bit off of the Nissans, and then we're gonna have the grid. Oh, it's a race to the line for the two Mercedes. 5th and 6th, it's Oz, Phillips and Douglas. Who's going to do it? I think Oz hangs on, he does as they cross the line. But great bit of racing, but those cars struggling I think in the handling sections, and Martin unfortunately retiring from that one. Race 2 coming up shortly.